Alright, so when using charcoal or pastels, you want to keep the amount of fingers that you're touching with it to a minimum because it's going to get all over yourself. So I'm going to be using mostly just like my top 3 fingers. And I'm barely holding it because if I press down super hard, it's going to break. So I'm just barely holding it so my grip's nice and light. We're going to go ahead and start with blending techniques. So we're going to be layering it. So this first one's going to be layered. What you can do is you can write layered at the top with your pencil. And then we'll do a Q-tip. This one we'll do tomorrow since I forgot to bring them today. Tissue. And your fingers. So for layered blending, normally we have 2 or more colors when blending, but I just want to talk about layering the colors with charcoal because you're going to get 2 different values with it. So you can start by just doing the full front of the charcoal, but you can see that you can do different lines with it, but I'm just going to actually just come right here, barely press down, and fill in my whole box. And I'm taking my time, I'm not rushing, because if I rush, I'm going to make more of a mess. Once I have that first layer, I want to go across with the second layer. And you could even practice adding more layers too. So what you'll notice is that dust residue is going to start collecting. So you see all this? So there's a couple options you can do. You can either grab your paper up with your hands and be very careful and dump it into your little trash bucket or trash can at your table. Or grab your paper and you'll make a little pile of it on a paper towel. You'll want to do that every so often because if not, then it's going to get super, super messy. We'll do this one tomorrow with the Q-tip. Basically, that just blends it nice together, nice and soft. We'll go ahead and do the tissue. So go ahead and just fill in that box. We'll just need 1 layer. And today we'll just use that paper towel. If you use a tissue like for your nose, it comes out a little bit softer. But what I'm gonna do is, here's my paper towel, and I got 1 finger. I'm gonna wrap it around that finger. Okay? And I'm gonna use that soft part of my finger right here to lightly blend together my charcoal. So I'm going nice and slow. What you'll notice is if you use the more like flat part of your finger, you can get a bigger area. If you want it more precise or more pointed, use more of like the edge or like the tip of your finger. And you want to blend it to where it all looks like the same shade. So it shouldn't look like 2 different things. It should look like 1 single shade. Yes, it is going to be messy. We'll be washing our hands afterwards, yes. And remember, when you're done, either knock it into the trash or your paper towel. Now, you'll notice a big difference between the blended and just the raw layered charcoal. So look at the different textures that happens. We have 2 different textures going on. One is more soft and blended, so it has a softer texture. And one is a little bit more gritty. You can still see part of the background, and it's a little bit more rough. Okay? You're going to do the same thing with your last one, but you want to just use your plain finger. So give a layer of charcoal. And then again, I'm still using my finger that I've been using because this is my dirty finger. And I want to blend with my fingertip. For the last one, you want to blend with that fingertip. So here's my fingertip, and I'm blending with that fingertip. And I want to blend until it all looks about the same tone or same texture. For this project, we'll actually be using kneaded erasers. I'm not getting those out today since we're just practicing. Kneaded erasers, they start off this dark gray color. When you pull them apart, it's kind of like you're adding kinetic energy, so it stretches it almost like it's putty. And then you're ready to erase it when it turns that lighter gray. So you see how it just changed colors from that darker gray to the lighter? And what's really cool about kneaded erasers is you can shape it to how you need it. So you can kind of come in here and you'll be able to clean up your edges on your drawing and kind of take some stuff away and make it a little bit more refined. We'll be using them on the actual project. We're not using them for the practice. Alright, so once we have those, we need to go down to feathering. So feathering is just getting some lines. So when doing this, I'm actually going to use the corner of my charcoal, and that way I can get a nice line. So I'm going to use the corner, and I'm going to come in here and I'm going to start drawing some lines. So this is going to start building up a texture for me with lines. Cross hatching, that means you're going to do vertical and horizontal lines. So just like we just did, get you some lines going one way and the other. You can also try doing lines with the full flat piece of this charcoal. Just barely press down when doing that. After your cross-hatching, scumbling, that is when you are not perfectly blending in. You're just going to kind of press down and start rotating your charcoal piece around to start scumbling. So it's kind of like rotating circle movements. That will develop a texture, but also build up value the more you do it. And stipple is our very last one. That's with our little dots that we do with the corner of our charcoal piece. And I'm going to have it fade from lighter in one corner to darker in the other. With stippling, the more dots you do, the closer they are together, the darker it's going to appear. And then moving on down, we're going to skip over our forms for a moment and do the side strokes. So side strokes, that's when you're using the full flat side, so that edge. And you just want to start by barely pressing out. So do a light one, barely press down. Side strokes, so you're using the flat side, barely press down. So this is going to be your light, medium, you can press down more firm. And dark, you're just using the side of your charcoal, so that flat side, you're going to press and lightly drag down. So lightly dragging down gets you a lighter color. If you press down a little bit more firm, you get a medium. And if you press down really dark, so if you press down really hard, you can get a nice dark line. So you see I just pressed too hard, so I broke my charcoal. But it's okay because we can still use both. So again, we have light pressure, medium pressure, and dark or hard pressure. And then once you have that, I want you to go ahead and practice your forms. So just like we did previously with value, with the pencil shading, the colored pencil, I want you to practice with the charcoal. We have about 5 minutes left to work, so go ahead and you can complete your forms. Remember, when forms, you want to have a light source. So I want you to draw like a little circle with a little light source where you want your light. So I always put it in the top left for the practice sheets. With the form, so you need to have that light to dark value. You can include blending techniques. So one of the techniques that we learned, so blending or the different feathering, cross-hatching, scumbling, stipple, or like the tonal with the tissue or your fingers. And once you have that done, don't forget about your cast shadow, because every 3D form has a cast shadow. So I'm going to start with some tonal, because my preference for charcoal is tonal shading. Yes, we will be washing our hands. And I'm making the bottom darker significantly, so I know it's going to go from light to dark. And once I have that spear, I don't want to forget about my dark shadow underneath. And don't forget, all that chalk dust, you can either use it to blend. So what's really cool about this chalk dust is I'm spreading it out to make my shadow kind of blend outwards, or maybe make a table. Or I can kind of dump it into the bucket. Then I can do my cylinder. On this one, I'm practicing blending with my finger. And again, later on, you can always come back with an eraser to clean up the edge. Don't worry about that today since it's the practice. And of course, my cast shadow. And then my cube. Can't forget about the cube. And my cast shadow for my cube. And again, because I have all this excess chalk dust, what should I do with my chalk dust? Yeah, so blend it, or put it on a paper towel pile that I have, or put it in my trash bucket. If you don't have a trash bucket really close to you, I'd always just keep a paper towel and keep going in that paper towel. What's nice is you could actually come back and press into your chalk dust and then add it back to your paper. So a couple things that happens when using charcoal pastel is, look at my paper. Anywhere my fingers touch, which are dirty, I'm getting it on there. So what's most important is when we do our final project, before you ever turn it in or display it, you'd actually want to come back with an eraser and clean up any of your background or any finger smudges that you have. No such thing as messing up, because it is practice and you're learning a new technique. Just keep practicing, and you can always practice in your sketchbook as well. So once you finish that, make sure to put your name on it. We will be gluing this in. I'm going to upload this to YouTube as an extra source video, so if you want to practice at home or buy it at home, you can.